Okay. Okay. Today is Friday. It's not fun preparing share Friday morning. So it gives me a new appreciation for people who have to do that on a regular basis. We're going to start from Beis on Beis on the bottom, where we left off talking about Tachlon. Rav didn't do Tachlon. Why didn't he do Tachlon? And we're going to continue discussing different types of Tachlon and move into a few different other sugyas. Fine. Let's look at the Gemara. Kida alapayim. Kida means you go down on your knees, on your whole body's down, but only your face touches the floor. It says when Bathsheba was bowing to David because he told her about Shlomo Melech that he's going to be Mamlech Shlomo Melech. So she and appreciation she bowed down and says her face touched the floor. Kriya al Berkayim. Kriya is just going down on your knees. From bending on his knees. That's complete spread eagle, like we said. How Rav did his tachlon. Yaakov Avinu was telling Yosef, "Are we going to come, me and your mother, and your brothers to bow down to you?" So he said, "The whole body's on the floor." Levi achli kida kamei Rebbe ve'itla. Levi attempted to do kida, which is kida is going down on your entire on your whole. It was going straight down on your thumbs and then getting back up just with the thumbs. So it puts a tremendous amount of strain on your lower body, and he dislocated his hip, so he became lame. This is this what caused it? You should be careful how you talk to Shemayim, literally, like the Hakadosh Baruch Hu, but not to be overly aggressive. In Masechtas Taanis, Levi did that. He spoke very harshly in a way that you don't care about your kids, you're not providing any sustenance, you're not providing rain. Manu Levi, and because that was what caused the kitrig, let's say in Shemaim, that he should get hurt. But what actually he ended up getting hurt was through the attempting kida. They did talking like leaning on their side, and we said before that Adam Chashav should not do a full tachnon unless he knows it's going to be answered. So in accordance with that, Abai and Rava, Taka did on the side. Yom Tov Chamisha, so we said Yom Tov we lane 5 aliyahs. Yom Kippur Shisha, Masisamani, Lo Rabbi Shmuel, Lo Rabbi Kiva. We have a problem because we have a following brisa that's going to say both these shitas and not shtim either one. Tiny Yom Tov Chamisha, Yom Kippur Shisha, B'Shabbos Shiva, Ein Parchas Mehen, Ein Moisef Alein. David Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says that Yom Tov is 5, Yom Kippur is 6, and Shabbos is 7, but you can't detract and you can't add. Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva, I'm Yom Tov Chamisha, Yom Kippurim Shiva, Ubeshabbos Shisha, and Shabbos is Shisha. Ain't Parchas Aval Meisif on the land. You could add. You cannot detract. You could add. So Mani, who's the Tana? Rabbi Shmuel Kasha Tosefes. Rabbi Shmuel said you can't be Meisif after, or you can't be Meisif on the 5, 6, 7, and Amish said you could. Rabbi Kiva Kasha Shisha v'Shiva. We said Yom Kippur 6 and Shabbos is 7, and Rabbi Kiva says l'hapach. Yom Kippur 6 and Rabbi Kiva says the opposite. Amar Rava, Tanya the Rabbi Shmuel, it's very Rabbi Shmuel. The Tanya the Rabbi Shmuel, the Tanya the Rabbi Shmuel, the Yom Tov Chabisha, Yom Kippur Mishisha, B'Shabbos Shiva, Ein Parchas Mehen, Aval Meisif on the land. Didn't Rabbi Shmuel. In fact, the Marakash Rabbi Shmuel, everything more tonight. I leave it Rabbi Shmuel. So there's one shita in Rabbi Shmuel that holds like, and that's our Mishnah. I said it's 5, 6, 7, like we hold. Yom Tov 5, Yom Kippur 6, and Shabbos 7, and you cannot take away, but you can add aliyahs, like we thought. That's our mission. That's what we pass like. The Tanya, who's the author of the following brisa? The Yom Tov Ma'achon Lavoi U'Maharon Lot says, Yom Tov you come late to shul, but you leave early. The Yom Kippur Ma'achon Lavoi U'Maharon Lot says, Yom Kippur you come early and you leave late. But Shabbos Ma'achon Lavoi U'Maharon Lot says. And Shabbos, you come early and you leave early. So just to understand why we're leaving early from shul, and by Shabbos, the Yom Tov, we're busy with the Suda. You could be busy with Suda after Shkia. because you're allowed to do malacha for Eichel Nefesh. So therefore, you could become late. That's why people came late to shul on Yom Tov, because they were busy with the Suda. Shabbos and Yom Kippur, there's no Suda by Yom Kippur. There's Suda before Yom Kippur, but Shabbos and Yom Kippur that are Asav and Malacha, so there's nothing to do after a certain time. So that's why they came earlier to shul. And leaving early, they would leave early on Yom Tov and Shabbos, for Shabbos or for Suda Yom Tov. And for Yom Kippur, there's nothing to go home to, so you stayed in shul later. Lema, Rabbi Kiva, the Islay Gabra Yisera. The reason why I'm ma'acher on Yom Kippur is because of this extra aliyah, right? Again, Rabbi Kiva is one who said that we have 7 on Yom Kippur, so that's why you stay late in shul. No, if you even Rabbi Shmuel that says that it's only 6 aliyahs in Yom Kippur, the nafesh to do at the end. There's a lot going on Yom Kippur. There's a lot of davening. You end up getting stopped out even if without the extra aliyah. We said that you lane 3, 5, or 7. You lane 3, 4. The Gemara doesn't discuss 4, and the Gemara is going to add 6 also. So the Gemara is discussing right now 3, 5, and 7. It's one of these groups of people, one of these sets. The 3 watchmen of the Beis Hamikdash. There was like 3 guys, like 3 shamasim or 3 sharmim that would make sure they had the keys and make sure everything was where it's supposed to be, and everyone was everything ran smooth. Chamisha mirai pnei melech. There's 5 people that sat constantly by the king. The shiva mirai pnei melech, and there were 7 people that were also a ruggle by the king. Obviously, the 5 were more chashiv, so it's some sort of royalty. It's to attribute some royalty towards laning. Tana Yosef Shloisha Chamisha V'Shiva Shloisha Shamei Asaf Chamisha Merei Pnei Melech Shiva Rei Pnei Melech. See, Rabbi Yosef says the same thing. Like the second time, like the second group of the second member. Amar Rabbi added the Matam Parish Lemar. Rabbi, how come you didn't tell us until right now? Why do you only first teach us this now? I didn't know that you didn't know this. I didn't know that you needed to know. Was it ever? Did you ever ask me something? I didn't give you an answer. I'm not holding back information. I don't think this is not a good answer. I just never knew that you needed to know. Yaakov, Mina Rav Yehuda, Hani Shisha Yom Kippur Kneged me. So we did 3, 5, and 7. What about 6? Amalei Kneged Shisha Shamdu Mimina Shel Ezra V'Shisha Mismailei. Ezra had 6 people on each one of his sides. So we look zeicha for that is the 6. Not a zeicha necessarily, but more like in as like a tip of the hat to that. Shenema v'yamid edzo haseifa al migdal eitz asher asu ladavar v'yamid etzle matisya v'shemesh v'anaya v'uriya v'chelkiya u'maseu al yiminai u'mismailai v'daya u'mishael u'malkiya v'chashim v'shabdana Zechariah Meshulam. Tadmahani Shivahu. This you just if you count the seven names. Zechariah Hani Meshulam. Zechariah Meshulam was one person. Amai Kar Meshulam. The Mishlam Be'uvde. He was a Ish Shalom, Ish Tamim, as they say. Shiva. Everyone is counted as one of the 7 Oilim. Va'afilu Kartam Afilu Isha Afilu Isha. Avo Amru. So really, Mikra Adin, a woman who gets Oil, if you mamish stuck. I don't know what they do halakha l'maisa here, but it seems like a woman, but yeah, that would be yaitza for would count as one of the items. Yibaylu mafter mahu sheyal l'minyan hashevet is the guy who gets mafter part of the 7. Rav Huna Rav Yirmi bar Abba chad amar oila v'chad amar ena oila. Man amar oila the hakari he's laning. Watching me count. Man amar ena oila kedula. The amar ula mifnei maha mafter benavi tzarich sheyich b'tayra tchila. Why does the guy who gets mafter? Why does the guy who's mafter? Again, mafter we say is the last 3 psukim, but really mafter is going on the haftarah on the navi. So mifnei ma. We don't want to have its own aliyah as if it's a davar chashav by itself. We wanted to say that we would never call someone up. So if you call someone up, he has to read part of the Torah also. So it's really just for kavod Torah. So he doesn't. So it doesn't count for the 7 of Torah that we need. It's not part of the. It's not part of the 7. Hamafter ben Navi lo yifzches mes v'arbam sukim. Navi has to have 21 sukim. Keneged shiva v'shakar b'tar keneged there's 7 that lean in the title. Im isa, and if it's true that the 7 doesn't count, that the 8 that the mafter also lanes part of the sukim in the Torah as some above. We have 8 people counting, 8 people laning, and we should have 24 psukim. I'm thinking about keeping the mishum kavod Torah who keneged. We're not going to give him the chashivas of. We're not going to count it as part as an 8th Torah laning, because the only reason why he laned those last 2 psukim was just for kavod Torah. Which is this is after we lane Parshas Tzab. We don't have. You said we have to leave 21. This is a parsha that's not 1. I think it's 17. Shani Hasid the Salakinyan over there. There's no choice because that's where the whole Indian stops, and there's nothing that we can do about that. Did you tell me where it doesn't have this Indian of the Indian stopping it? You don't name Zimnin Sagian have a I was a lot of times in front of Yechanan, we have a Kavin and Eser Psuke, and he laned them Psukim. Amalai. And I leaned Tamsukim Amalan of Siku. You could stop. I'm thinking, well, Targum Shani, where there's a Targum, so it's really so it's taking up a lot more time. So it's like come out double, right? Because it's Tamsukim, and then each one's being repeated by the Targum. So he let after 10, he left stop. The Tani Tachlif for Bashmul Leishanu Al Makom Shein Targum Makom Shein Targum and Paisik, but if it's a Targum, then you could stop. Look, the Mishnah Ein Parsin Al Shema. You do not. Parish Shema means literally splitting the Shema, which means that if 10 people come in, they all daven by themselves. When they come in afterwards, they can start with Baruch Hu, and they say certain things. They don't do the whole davening from the beginning. They ain't Ivan Lefnei Ateva. They ain't niceness kapayim. You don't do this kapayim. Ain't karim b'tar. You don't lane. They ain't maftim. And avi ain't isim ma'amad ma'ishav. You don't do the ma'ishav b'yelevaya, which they used to stop and they stop and go 7 times and sit certain psukim. They ain't Ivan b'rechas avelim. You don't say b'rechas avelim. Muslim discuss everything from avelim. And and you don't make zimun with Hashem's name. And when you evaluate properties that need to be redeemed from hak, the tisha of a kain has to be 9 plus a kain, which is also 10. But Adam Gertzman, and a person who's also not hektish, but a person whose value was given to by the Gabayas, then you have to also you need 9 plus a kain. How do we know that all these things are done with 10? You should be mekodesh mi b'soich b'nei Yisrael. Kol davish b'kedusha lo yehei b'soich pachos me'asara. My master. How do you see that from that pasuk? The Tanya Asya Taich Taich. It says b'soich b'nei Yisrael over here v'nikdashi b'soich b'nei Yisrael, and it says ksiv hachem v'nikdashi b'soich. I'm sorry. Asya Taich Taich. Ksiv hachem v'nikdashi b'soich b'nei Yisrael. Ksiv hasam he badu b'taicha Eda, separate from this Eda, the Asya Eda. And how do we know that Eda? I forgot what this Eda is talking about. This Eda, I forgot what that means. He badu b'taicha Eda. I don't remember which Eda is it talking about. I forgot which Eda is talking about. Eda. Oh, it's talking about Kaira. Thank you. It's Hashem saying, remove yourself from this Eda. I don't know if Hashem saying, but it's talking about Kairach's Eda, to remove yourself from the Eda. That's talking about the Meraglim. And the Meraglim were 10, right? The Ra of the Meraglim were 10, because you have 12 Meraglim plus 2, minus 2 of the Yeshua and Kalev, so it leaves you 10 of the Ra. So if you backtrack it, Eda is 10, and it says I have mitaycha Eda, which is referring to 10, and mitaych taich gives you back. V'nikdashi b'soich is in 10. Fine. The ein oisin ma'amid ma'ishav b'chachas me'asar kivin the boiler mema imdu yikarim amoidu shavu yikarim shavu batzim me'asar lav oirech ara. It's not proper to use the lashon yikarim on a group that's less than 10. It's a bracha that's said in the street, and it's a machlekes. It's either there's a special bracha or brachas hamazon on the first suda. I forgot what it's called. Suda. I forgot what it's called. It's the first suda that the Velim eat. that shouldn't be from their food. Yitzchak Avelim do not count as part of the Asara. And the Chasanim do count as part of the Asara. Also, we should not say Hashem's name with less than a minyan. So it says in the parsha of being part of the Hekdesh that it says a kain. So it says kain 10 times. The first one is to be marba kain. That's only a kain. The next 9 are to be mamayit that you don't need, that the 9 could be Yisraelim. Everything more so it's come to be marba Yisraelim. Sorry. The miyat, the first miyat, the first word kain is a miyat that only a kain could do the evaluation, and then the next 9 kahanim of that it says the word kain is being marba Yisrael. So again, el rabbis tisha Yisrael v'achad kain. Talking about ve'im chamisha kain v'chamisha Yisrael kasha. The Gemara is asking, it should be every other one should be a riba and every other one should be a miyat. So you should have 5 ribu and 5 miyut. It means you should have 5 and 5. The Gemara says kasha, which usually means that there's another answer. We're not going to get into it now. Adam kiyates ban Adam mikadish for the more hakar Adam bikadish. Amravo ba'imr the mayalai. The Tanya Imr the mayalai shaman Isaac evet. Evet is kashakha is tachsiv bisnachalta ma'isam b'nechem acharechem l'reshes achuzah. So because the evet is like a sada, so we have the same din of sada that you need 10, 9 plus 1 a kain. So the Mishnah Akaida b'tayr leifches mishlei shepsukim leikar lemitagam yosim epasagacha. And you should not. So you have to lane 3 psukim in each aliyah, and you should not lane in the place where there's the targum guy. You should not lane more than 1 pasuk at a time and let him do it. So in other words, you shouldn't lane 2 psukim, let the targum do it 2 psukim. You should do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. But with Navi shleisha, by Navi you should do 3 psukim. You could do 3 psukim and then have the targum kick. Copy 1, 3, and we had the same idea that we're not so worried if he makes a mistake because it's not meant to teach us Navi. We don't learn halacha from Navi as much, so it's not such a big deal if he messes up a job. But if it's 3 separate inyanim, if you're laning 3 psukim back to back, you should not lane 3 psukim back to back that are all different inyanim. Each one should be read by itself. You could be medalig by Navi. You could skip around the Navi, and you cannot skip around the Torah. How much can you skip in Navi? You cannot go so far in Navi that the Targum is going to be finished his explanation, and then he's going to be waiting for you to say the next pasuk. And the reason for that is Techel Tzivar. What's the point of 3 psukim? We had this earlier. Like and also the next pasuk is what the exact sugya said, I'm not sure, but it's in Yeshaya, and it's this three psukim back to back, all separate in Yanim. So you see, this is the idea that the Mishnah is talking about. If you're laning those 3 psukim, you should not lane them all at once and have them tight 3 separate inyanim together. We learned this is talking about on Yom Kippur that the Kohen Gadol reads for the Am. So he says he starts then he also lanes Achab Aser, which talks about the Achab Aser, which talks about that skips to Yom Kippur. So he lanes the first bunch of psukim, and then he skips around a few pakim later. But he skipped around. We learned on this idea of skipping around. Our Mishnah said that you could be medalig by Navi, but not by Torah. But ad kamahu medalig by Navi, how much could you skip around? Ad kadesh yifsek targum. This year that you just said by Torah, we said by Navi, which is mashma. You can't do anything by Torah. When you're skipping around to 2 separate inyanim, that we can't do. And if you're skipping around Ba'isa Inyan, that you're allowed to do it. And we learned to Ba'isa that it supports this. You could in Torah you could skip around from one Indian within one Indian, but Navi you can skip around between. But Ma'arav Shach you cannot skip around to the point where you have to wait. The Batagim is going to have to wait for you to say the next pasuk. We cannot go from one navi to another navi. But from Trayasa you could, because I think they're much shorter over there. You can't go through the whole thing, but you can do one navi to the other. That's not makar as long as it's short amount. I'm probably keeping within this time frame of that the Matagim should not wait for you. Okay, that went a lot faster than I thought it would. We're going to stop over here. We're going to continue on to Shabbos. We have a lot to do still before Purim, but as is Hashem.